Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
The Dodgers are right back in the center of the baseball universe this offseason, and honestly, that shouldn't surprise anyone at this point. A recent update from MLB.com just put one of the most dominant pitchers in the game at the very top of the trade candidate list. And predictably, Los Angeles is all over this conversation. The winter meetings came and went without any massive fireworks, but that quiet only made it more obvious who's actually positioned to make moves that can shift the entire competitive landscape with one phone call. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're breaking down why Tarik Skubal's name keeps popping up in Dodgers rumors, what it would actually take to get him, and whether this is the kind of move that makes sense for a team that's already loaded but still looking for that extra edge in October. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe, because we're covering every angle of what the Dodgers are planning this offseason. So here's the situation. MLB.com didn't just casually mention Tarik Skubal as a possible trade candidate. They put him at the top of the list, and that's not some speculative ranking. That's a reflection of where Detroit actually stands right now with their ace. The Tigers control Skubil through the end of 2026 via arbitration, but extension talks have completely stalled out. Without any progress on a long-term deal, Detroit is facing the exact scenario every front office dreads. Do you trade your most valuable asset now while his value is at its peak, or do you hold on and risk losing him for nothing later, or at best getting a compensation pick when he walks in free agency? That's the crossroads they're at, and it's why Skubal's name has gained so much traction over the past few weeks. Let's talk about what Skubal actually brings to the table, because this isn't just about adding another name to the rotation. Over the past 2 seasons, he's been one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. We're talking consistent innings, elite stuff, the kind of performance that immediately changes the entire complexion of a pitching staff. He's a legitimate ace, the type of arm that slots in at the top of a rotation and gives you a massive advantage in any playoff series. For a team with championship aspirations, which the Dodgers obviously have, this is exactly the kind of profile that becomes almost impossible to ignore. You don't get many chances to acquire a pitcher of this caliber, especially one who's still under team control for another couple years. Behind the scenes, the situation is developing exactly how you'd expect. Detroit hasn't closed the door on anything. They're listening to offers, and they know exactly what they have. Executives around the league understand that the asking price is going to be steep, and the American media is treating a potential trade as increasingly plausible, maybe even inevitable, if the contract situation doesn't change. There's also the Scott Boras factor here, which adds another layer of complexity. Boras is Skubal's agent, and he rarely lets his clients sign extensions before hitting free agency. That reality makes some teams view Skubal as a high-end rental, even though he's under control through 2026. That risk hasn't scared everyone away, though, and it definitely hasn't scared the Dodgers. Reports are saying that Detroit's asking price would be comparable to what the Padres gave up for Juan Soto. That means a massive haul of top prospects, the kind of package that would gut most farm systems. For the vast majority of teams, that's a deal breaker, both because of the immediate cost and the long-term impact on the organization. But for the Dodgers, the conversation is different. It's difficult, no question, but it's within the realm of possibility. Los Angeles has the farm system depth to construct a competitive offer without completely compromising their future, and they've shown time and again that they're willing to make these kinds of aggressive moves when the opportunity presents itself. From a practical standpoint, the internal discussion in the Dodgers front office probably goes something like this. The rotation's already strong. You've got quality arms, depth, and guys who've performed at a high level. But it's not bulletproof. There's injury risk. There's the reality that some key pieces are getting older. Adding Skubal wouldn't just reinforce an area of strength. It would raise the team's ceiling in a very clear and immediate way. More importantly, it would give the Dodgers more control in those critical October moments where every single inning matters and matchups can determine entire series. A deep farm system gives Andrew Friedman the flexibility to put together a package that works for Detroit without completely depleting the organization's pipeline. The central question isn't really about fit. Everyone agrees Skubal would be a perfect addition. The question is whether the cost makes sense when you're potentially talking about a short window of control, even with massive championship upside attached. There's also a human element to this story that's worth paying attention to. When guys like Tyler Glasnow publicly acknowledge that the Skubil rumors feel real and say he'd be a perfect fit in the clubhouse, that tells you something about the internal read on the situation. The roster understands that competitive windows don't stay open forever and that opportunities like this don't come around all the time. For Dodgers fans, this raises a very familiar question. How much of the future are you willing to give up to maximize your chances right now when the team is clearly positioned to compete at the highest level? It's the same debate that happens every time the Dodgers are linked to a star player, and it never gets any easier to answer. This potential move involving Tarik Skubal perfectly summarizes where the Dodgers are right now. It's not just about adding another big name. It's about correctly reading the moment and understanding where the franchise stands. You've got an experienced roster, clear championship ambitions, and an organization that's never been afraid to take calculated risks. Los Angeles keeps showing up in these conversations because they've built a reputation for thinking big and acting decisively when elite talent becomes available. The situation isn't simple. The cost will be high, and there are no guarantees, especially with Barras involved and free agency looming in a couple years. But the opportunity to gain a real competitive edge in October, that carries serious weight. For Dodgers fans, this kind of conversation is part of the team's identity at this point. The front office has consistently shown they're willing to push chips to the center of the table when the window is open. They don't wait around for the perfect scenario. They create advantages and bet on their ability to win now while also managing the future. Whether that approach works with Skubal depends on how negotiations develop and whether Detroit is actually willing to move him. But the Dodgers are clearly positioned to be a major player if he does become available. So now it's about watching the next steps and seeing just how far Andrew Friedman is willing to go to keep this team on top. The offseason is far from over. And if history tells us anything, the Dodgers aren't done making moves. This team is built to win right now, and adding someone like Skubal could be the difference between another deep playoff run and actually hoisting a championship. All right, that's the full breakdown on the Skubal situation and what it means for the Dodgers. Would you pay the price to bring him in, or would you rather protect the farm system and trust what's already in place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you found this helpful, and make sure you're subscribed because we're tracking every development as it happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.